Well, finally tonight, to the news that has dominated the business headlines today, Elon Musk taking over Twitter. Twitter's board of directors announced that it's agreeing to his offer to take over the social media platform for $44 billion. And we have covered the business side of how that works here on the town hall. But the questions that matter most to users, concern of what will change now because of Elon Musk's self-described free speech absolutism. Joining us now is Kyla Garrett-Wagner, an assistant professor at Syracuse University whose research focuses on free speech. Kyla, thank you for being with us tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So first, the question about what could actually change here, because it seems like people have a lot of different ideas about what free speech actually means. So what does Elon Musk's history and past statements maybe tell us about how Twitter could be policed, if at all, if he takes over?
So you're asking a great question that I think if it was any other major leader right now, I probably could draw a better conclusion. But Mr. Musk has quite the reputation of being all over the place. This is the same gentleman who's gotten a lot of support, let's say, from the conservative right recently, as well as been a long-time funder of the American Civil Liberties Union around the same issue, which is free speech protections online. And the great irony is in the world of free speech and free press, we have to find something to talk about. So taking a guess as to what he's going to do next, that's a hard one to predict. My guess, though, is I actually don't think you'll see a whole lot of change as users. You'll still probably retain your rights to retweet, like, block all that you want, but you'll probably see more activity in terms of maybe accounts that have been deleted in the past might be reinstated. Additionally, in the event that you wanted to report a user for unsavory behavior, content that in the past would have been blocked probably will not be removed or blocked moving forward.
Yeah, and there are those who would argue that less restricted speech online can't be a bad thing because you could always block somebody or use another platform or move on. What do you think about that point of view?
I have to be very honest. This is a strict kind of change from the mentality of in the past, to reduce it to the idea of a child complaining to a parent. We used to be able to go to the overseers of these platforms and say, I have a problem with this, please deal with it. And usually it's been dealt with in some capacity. Maybe nothing happened, but there was still some theory that activity was done. I wonder how much the next time we have something to worry about or report, the response we're going to get is the proverbial, we'll deal with it yourself, figure it out. And to that point, I would caution people to say that, yes, you've always had the ability to go somewhere else and operate on a different platform. However, we've really not encountered, at least the general mass public and traditional users of social media, we're not familiar with an unpoliced platform. We've always had some type of practice and perception, even from the leaders and operators of these platforms, to have some sort of policing role. Even original founders like Mark Zuckerberg, when he first founded and started Facebook, he initially wanted to have systems in check that would verify people and their using of the platforms. That, of course, didn't hold. That's changed based on what the public has called and asked for. But when people say more speech online is a good thing, I would caution you to say that I don't think you've ever seen the full powers of what an unpoliced platform looks like. And so to be careful what you wish and ask for.
And there is kind of a difference between it being publicly owned and owned by shareholders as well.
Absolutely.
Privately owned, I should say.
Absolutely. So I'm really glad you bring that up, because as a scholar and educator of free speech and the First Amendment, one of the big things I really struggle with is I have students all the time say, oh, well, I have a right to free speech on these platforms. First off, no, you don't. There is no state action present here. Privately owned and operated platforms like this do not guarantee citizens' rights to free speech in these spaces. So to put it simply, you do not have a constitutional free speech right to be on these platforms. And more so, if you think that free speech is going to prosper because Elon Musk is now taking over, I would argue that's actually a step in the wrong direction. What we've done then is we've continued to empower fewer and fewer hands at the helm of deciding what can and cannot be present on these private platforms. Furthermore, Mr. Musk, as well as many individuals, like to say, well, I will promise that you have a right to say whatever you want. Free speech in the United States is not a promise or a guarantee to say whatever you want. You can be punished for what you say. Plenty of speech is illegal. But it's important to recognize that really your rights to free speech and expression here in the United States is a guarantee that the government won't come in and censor and control your speech. That does not mean that that's not what Elon Musk is going to do. And yes, he might say and claim all things absolutism today, but that does not mean that's going to be the case next week after he's got to be the one that everything answers to.
It's such an interesting conversation, and we so appreciate your perspective. We've been talking with Kyla Garrett-Wagner, an assistant professor of free speech researcher at Syracuse University. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you.